Well, the third series has just been released on DVD, and Richard and Penelope join us now. Hello.
Hello.
We've never met you both together before, so we haven't had the chance to say this to you before, but like millions, I think your show got about 16 million viewers at its peak.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, huge figures. I think it was one of the best British sitcoms ever. I really do. I think it was so... We both thought that, didn't we? It was so...
It's fantastic. How long ago is it now?
About 16 years, I'm afraid.
Is it?
But, yeah, you see, we were so lucky we had the writers. And the most rarest thing in our business is comedy writers. We had them, The Good Life, and they wrote that. Yeah. And so lucky, for me, marvellous.
The relationship between you two on screen was just so funny, and it's the kind of thing that anybody who's sort of, you know, got aunties and uncles, or the parents who've got friends would look at and know exactly what was going on. I mean, you're a sort of well-meaning but incredible bore.
Irritating bore.
And you are I think you are increasingly attracted to Peter Egan, aren't you?
Oh, she's attracted from day one.
Yeah.
She'd have to be, wouldn't she?
It's very, very underplayed.
Yes.
Well, you're right, it was underplayed, but OK, we'll have a scene here then. This is from the first episode ever, and this is where you've already met Peter Egan. I think you met him down the shops or something, or at the station or something like that. But you haven't, and you've just got to know him. And it's, to me anyway, I thought straight away, she fancies him. You're right, it is underplayed, but it's clear. You can't stop grinning at him. Let's have a look. He had no sense of humour, did he?
None whatever.
Never got anything.
Never knew what was going on.
That's a kind of golden age of British sitcoms, because I mean, at the moment we seem to be languishing in a
lead one.
and languishing well behind the Americans, don't we?
Yes, it's funny, isn't it? Everything goes in phases, I suppose.
Well, I know that you got a phone call from one of your relatives before Christmas, because you don't watch much telly, do you?
No.
They said was it one of your grandchildren said you've got to watch The Office. You must watch this Christmas special. Now you did. What did you think of that?
I only seen one with that amazing man who was on his own.
Ricky Gervais.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found him absolutely appalling, not as an actor, but as a person he was acting.
Yeah.
I thought he was totally unfunny.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And in fact, you found it
No
quite
vulnerability,
depressing.
you see. I mean, Martin was impossible, awful man.
Yeah.
But he had vulnerability, but he didn't. He was just
But
appalling.
well, it's funny because I know exactly what you mean. I mean, there is a side
It's
to
almost
David
too painful
Brent
to watch at times, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is painful. Have you seen it, Penelope?
Yes, I have. I think he is very funny, but sometimes he's so embarrassing. I have to turn it off because I can't bear it for him. Or what's going on around him. It's too cringe-making.
Yeah.
And when he did that dancing, and they all started clapping, and then...
It's brilliant acting, but I can't stand the type.
I couldn't... You can't stand the what?
The type.
No. Well, you know people like that a lot.
Yes.
What, at the BBC?
Well, quite a lot.
I'll take that as a yes.
Well, I mean, would you say, did you enjoy that more or The Good Life?
I liked this one because it was a character part and I didn't get typecast, because Tom Good was more or less me.
Yeah.
But this Marty was very nice to play a different kind of man, and an appalling man.
Yeah.
And try to make it palatable. I mean, to her, her life was appalling.
Yeah.
But we said, well, we were asked, weren't we, that why on earth didn't she pop off next door?
Why don't you think she did, Penelope?
Well, because the writing didn't allow me to. That's the main reason.
It wasn't.
And also,
the spirit was willing, though.
Because I knew Richard, because we'd worked together before. We'd done an Alan Ayckbourne. We'd done the Norman Conquest on the television together. And actually, he's such a divine person although he's sitting here next to me now, to work with. I couldn't really have left him. Even if he was the most appalling man and ghastly.
But what I think about your character, the way you played, what was brilliant about the way you played Anne was that although another actress, she could have been portrayed as being just totally put upon and very kind of dowdy, but actually you always had that spirit in you.
Very.
You always were sort of on the verge of saying something absolutely crunching to him, weren't you?
Yes.
You never quite did. You never quite
he
ruined
had a sort
him.
of vulnerability. I think that's what was so clever in the writing.
Yeah.
I mean, because he was all those things, but he was really very good-natured underneath it all. He was too tense to really enjoy anything. So, weren't you?
Yes.
His life was sort of like, he was so wound up, he could never really... I mean, if he was allowed to, if he'd had a few drinks of an evening, you'd have probably been, like you do in real life, you'd have been...
Please.
You'd have been much more fun, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
We ought to say in real life, happy birthday for yesterday. It was yesterday, wasn't
I know.
it? We're allowed to say the big number?
Yeah,
70.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Depressing.
Isn't it?
It wasn't. He had a very nice birthday party.
Yes, she was invited.
Which I was
still friends.
Good of you.
And we had a lovely time.
Is it true that one of your grandchildren asked you, either yesterday or very recently, No, he asked his parents. He said, one of your children, is Grandpa grown up yet?
Yes, that was Rachel, my granddaughter, yes.
What do you think she meant?
Well, I was climbing around.
Oh, I see.
Little girls are extremely, she's 7 going on 39.
Yeah.
And she said, Grandma, is Grandpa grown up? With that inflection. And my wife said, no, darling.
Yes, obviously not. And I must say, was Ever Decreasing, was that your first sitcom?
Yes.
I thought it was. How was that for you then? That must have been a bit of a, not a risk, but a bit of a challenge.
Well, it was, and I think that the powers that be thought it would be a bit of a challenge, a risk, actually. They thought I was a risk, because I'd been at the...
nice that they have faith, isn't it?
It is. But I'd been at the National Theatre, and sort of, you get put into classes of
Serious
things.
actors.
Yes, serious even though, you do a lot of comedy in theatre.
Yeah.
And also, they said, what comedy you done? I said, Shaw and Shakespeare and things, and they gaze at you, thinking, dear me, this is a bit of a mistake. But then we managed it, didn't we? All right.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely marvellous.
So I think that
the cast was superb. The neighbours were so wonderful.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and you talk about the writing. The one thing I never thought worked on Dad's Army, which is what we all know it's a classic and again a great favourite. The one thing that never really worked, I thought, was the external filming slapstick stuff. All that chasing across the heath and all that. I never thought it worked, and that's why the film of Dad's Army didn't really work. But your slapstick did, and we had a host of scenes to choose from, but we got this one, and this is where Martin is absolutely up to there with a neighbour who parks his lorry in the road.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
And so he goes out one evening and has a lie-down protest in his sleeping bag and television and thermos to stop the lorry from pulling away from the curb the next morning. Dawn breaks and this is what happens. Do you think they could bring it back? Do you think it could come back? Do you think? I mean, what would Martin and Penelope be like now? Do you think they'd still be together?
I'd have killed him by now.
Yes. You'd be inside, wouldn't you?
I'd be inside. I'd be serving time.
Absolutely.
I think you'd have succumbed to Peter Egan at some point.
Well,
yes. You would have. I'm sure the only reason she didn't was that poor old Martin would have died in 3 months without her.
Yes, he would.
Yes.
And I think she, being a woman, she'd know that.
Yeah.
Total loser.
And also, just talking of remakes and stuff, I'm sure you've heard this, that going back to The Good Life, ITV are planning a kind of a reality television version of The Good Life, and they're looking for volunteers. Do you think that'll work?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. Trying to resurrect these things. And it was a nice little show. It's in aspic, and it should stay as it was. But I'm often
also, reality television is something very different than something that's written and acted by by skilled people.
It just puts a lot more actors out of work than there are enough already.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes. Is it true that I read? It's a sensitive subject, but you're furious because you only get, and I would be too, you only get 60 quid a throw for the repeats of...
yes, I had a whinge about that, that's right, in a paper or something.
It's terrible.
I mean, I shouldn't really moan because, I've done so well out of it. But I think
so
we should all have a raise, quite frankly, especially the actors who don't work as often as I do,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's lovely to see you both.
It's lovely to see you both.
Thank you.
That's the DVD, the two of you in bed.
I'll take that home.
Yeah, we'll watch that tonight, actually. It's fantastic. OK, lovely to see you both together.
Thank you very much
Thank you
indeed.
for asking us.
No, thank you for being here. Peter Egan sends his apologies. He's on stage as we speak, otherwise he would be here as well.
Yeah.
And who knows what would have happened in the green room afterwards.
OK, before we go on...